What's up, everyone? It's Justine here. I am just sipping a Starbucks. I literally just picked it up, so I need some coffee in my system. I've been doing something new with my coffee, actually. I read the book Make Time, which I've talked about in like 2 of my email newsletter, which is called The Happy Hour Report. I've been talking about it quite a bit because it definitely changed some things for me. Big game changer. But they talk about caffeine, and they suggest that you wait till like 9:30 or wait till you've been up a couple hours to actually have your first caffeine, because when we wake up in the morning, actually that's when our cortisol is most high, which is a stress hormone, and like adrenaline and cortisol, we're already like pumping with that when we wake up. So for one, that's not really the time that we need it, even though a lot of us might feel that way. I definitely did, so it's kind of hard to break that habit. But now I'm just doing lemon water. Lately I've been putting a little charcoal powder, I can't talk, in my water, and lemon, a little Himalayan pink sea salt. I just make this little like cleansing detox big water drink. I use one of my Cycle Bar leaders usually, actually, and I've been doing that in the morning. If I do need a little kick, I'll have a little green tea, but pre-workout I've been trying to not do my coffee, and then I have it kind of as like a treat afterwards. And it's been working really well, because then when I have it, like the caffeine kicks in at the right time and it feels really good, and I find that I actually don't need it right away in the morning, and my workouts have still been feeling really great. So I would definitely suggest playing with that if you'd like. That's totally not even what I'm here to talk about today. A little tangent on what I've been up to. But so I just got back from a trip. We got back late last night. We were gone for a week. It felt like I've been gone for a month. It feels like so long. And like I said, I just came out of Cycle Bar, so it feels really, really good to be back in my routine. But also, the way I start with clients, when I'm coaching clients one-on-one, we always start with what is going well and what are we celebrating today. And the reason that we do that is because we're so wired to always look at what we're not doing enough of, or what's going wrong, or like, yeah, I did this, whatever, but there's still all of this. We are so hard on ourselves, and we're so quick to look at the negative. It's just the way we're wired as humans. So it's not just you. We all do this. We all focus on the negative, the lack, what we're not doing enough of, what we should be doing more of, the shoulds, all of that. And so many times we're not actually acknowledging ourselves for all the little wins. And as I say all the time, the little wins are the big wins. The small hinges swing big doors is something we say in coaching. And so every session starts off that way. What's going well? And it's so interesting with my clients, because sometimes they're like, they want to get into what's not going well. And I get that. You know, that's what coaching is. It's there to, okay, we want to change this. You're at point A and you want to be at B. So we want to get into the change work. And that requires talking about the harder stuff, the challenges, the obstacles. Feel that. But it's so interesting when I talk to my clients, because so many times they're like, I don't really know what's going well, you know, maybe this thing, I guess. And then as we kind of talk and as we open the conversation up that way, they'll start to tell me things, and I'm like, hi, time out. That's a huge win. And that's a huge win. And that shift is amazing. And you sound like a new person. And that's like in the first 5 minutes of a session sometimes. And that's the thing. We just don't give ourselves credit for when we're making these changes and when we are having these huge victories. Because if you used to respond to a situation a certain way, and now you're responding to it in a better way that feels good, or you're just feeling better around something, like that's huge. Like that's why we do all the work. You know, like people, even like weight loss, like, okay, I'm always asking, you know, why do you really want this? Because the weight loss, the pounds aren't going to make you a happier person. It's like who you have to become that makes you a happier person as you're doing these things. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, lots of tangents today. This might be a bit long. That's okay. So with celebrating and looking at what are we celebrating today, what's going well, of course, I'm always a student of the work that I do. And I am in a mastery program right now, so I'm expanding my education, and I love that because I get to be coached frequently. I get to be coached by peers, by master coaches, and it's really, really incredible, and it's done so much for my life. And so the sessions start the same way. What's going well? And it's funny because when I come to the sessions, I'm the same way. Sometimes I don't really know, but I know that I'm going to be asked that. So I think about it. And what happens is when we are looking for our wins and we train ourselves to start to look for what am I celebrating, what's going well, where am I having victories and little wins, we notice it more. So now I'm so in the habit of doing this because I've been doing this work, this specific work, the type of coaching I do, I've been doing it for 2 years now. So I'm very much in the habit of what's going well, what am I celebrating, and I notice my small wins. And it's really, really incredible. And there was one last week before my trip and one right after the trip, or last night coming home. I'll just share this with you guys because I'm always keeping it real. But I was very aware that I love to travel, but I would get anxiety around it the day before, and then coming back kind of get like anxiety about my schedule that I was coming back to, and get a little like of that depressed feeling of coming home and all of those things. And I've been doing all of this work on, why am I feeling this way? Why do I have these negative emotions? Like, I am creating the life I want. So like, there's no reason to feel these things. But again, logically, we can't always sort through it. Sometimes it requires deeper work. And that's what I've been working on this past year. And as I've shared a lot online, my anxiety went from being an all day, every day kind of thing to it's really rare. And when it does pop up, I'm very, very aware of what triggered it and how to get out of it quickly. So that's amazing. And that's a huge win. That's a lot of little wins put together. But this particular week was so different because I traveled in January too. And that's a goal of mine. I want to be traveling pretty much every month. And so for first quarter of the year, I'll be out of town 4 times in the first quarter, which is awesome. But I'm like, okay, I want to be doing these things. I got to get rid of this, like these funky feelings. So I've been sorting through it, and the news to share is that my win was the day before last week, the day before we left, and then coming home, those feelings gone. And that's how the change work works. Like when you're really doing the deeper change work, and we have different parts of our brain. I talk about this a lot too. And you kind of need the green light, you do need the green light from all parts of your brain. So like I said, rationally, logically, sometimes we can look at our feelings and we should be like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. But guess what? We still are. We still feel weird or funky, or we have like mixed things, or sometimes we might want something, but part of us doesn't. Like this happens a lot with weight loss. Like, okay, I want to lose weight, but then deep down inside, what if I can't keep it off? Or what if it changes? What if I can't eat my favorite things anymore and I can't go out with the people I love? And like, there's like weird blocks, or, I'll have to buy a whole new wardrobe, or maybe whatever it is. Like there's weird blocks that sometimes we're not even aware of, that we say we want something, or this shows up with money. Like I want to make a lot of money, but then if you also deep down think that requires you being way more stressed out, way more overwhelmed, maybe you can't handle it, maybe you're not good with money, like all these things, these limiting beliefs we tell ourselves, they're still hanging out there. And so no matter how badly you want change, if you don't get the green light from all those limiting beliefs, your low self kind of, if we've got our higher self and that lower self, that ego that comes into play and says like, you're not good enough, you can't do this, stay right here, because that part doesn't want change. That critter brain hates change. So that's why it will sabotage you and keep you stuck in these small limiting beliefs sometimes. But again, even being aware of that doesn't mean you're going to go in and get that green light for the change work from this part of your brain that doesn't want change. And you have to work on it. Like you have to do the deeper work. And this is so many different things, from meditation to journaling to knowing the right questions. Obviously, coaching is huge. And that's what I want to bring you guys today is just, I can't tell you how different I feel over the last couple of years. Even the past year has been huge for me, like insane. And now looking at my life and comparing things that 1 month ago were a big issue and were still really getting in my way and making me feel shitty, like I'll just say it, they're different now. Like it's different. And that's because I've been doing the work. And doing the work is something that I believe in, and I've also like invested in it financially for sure. My time, my energy, like I believe in it, and I've chosen to do it because it's worth it to me. But I also had to hit a point where I was fed up with my current story to decide it was worth investing in. Again, my time, my money, my even change is scary. Like I've done a lot of stuff that has been really uncomfortable over the past year. Past couple years, and even like this particular, like I said, we're almost 2 months into the year, but since the year started, like I've put myself in lots of situations that didn't feel comfortable because I knew it would stretch me into making the changes that I wanted. And I decided that it was worth it for me. But you kind of have to hit that point. And I love when I see this happen with clients, and this is usually when we get started. You have to hit that point where it hurts. Like you're sick of it. You're fed up. And that's actually a great place to be when you're like so sick of where you're at and you're like, I've been here too long and like I know there's a different side, or like there's got to be a better way, and like there always is. It's always available to you. So whatever change you want in any area of your life, whether it's your body, your health, your mind, if, like I said, struggling with things like anxiety, depression, career, any area, relationships, that's a big one. Like change is available, but you have to decide it's worth it. And then the tools are there, like books, podcasts, coaches, like there's so much available. We live in a time now where I think if anything you want truly is possible, and it's easier to get in a way than ever before because we have all of this information available, even connecting the dots between we have so much proof around what we're thinking about is really what shows up for us in our lives. Like that's quantum physics. Like you can't argue it. So the way you're thinking and feeling and these different things going on in your brain, like they're real. Like, again, you can't argue with that. So what are you going to do with that? Like, are you content with this thing that you say you want? Again, if you want to change, like, do you really want it is the question. And it has to get to that point where the pain points, usually it's the pain points. We always talk about it's pain or pleasure points that drive us, but a lot of times it's the pain points that make us actually change. And that was definitely for me. Like, I just couldn't tolerate the anxiety. And like I said, even from a month ago, I'm like, this is nonsense. Like, I want to be able to travel and not have any of these feelings. Like, that's what I want. And that is available to me, but it required me doing certain things and, again, investing in myself and saying, I'm worth it and I want that kind of happiness and that ease in my life. Like, it's so possible, but like, you have to take the steps. You have to take the action on it. And to do that, again, you have to believe you're worth it, to invest in yourself, and that this change that you want is worth it to invest in yourself. Like I said, across all boards, like financially, time-wise, your energy, and you have to be willing to get uncomfortable because no change comes from staying complacent, content, and comfortable. And I know it's scary and it sucks sometimes. Like sometimes I talk about like growing pains as a kid. This is like growing pains as an adult. Like sometimes I'm just like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. But you go through it, you stay in it. I like to think about this in my workouts, even like I just came from Cycle Bar. And sometimes it's like, you can do it. Just stay in it. Stay in it a little longer. Like stay in it 30 more seconds or 60 more seconds. You stay in it. You stay with that discomfort. And what's on the other side? Change. So it is required. But again, like you have to hit that point. Like, what's it really costing you? And like, you might not be there yet with certain things that you say you want. And that is a big shift too. Like, I would rather say I choose not to than I can't. Stop saying you can't, because we really truly can do anything. It might take time. It might take a lot of work. It might take a lot of effort. It might take all kinds of things. It might take you getting really out of your comfort zone, but you can do anything. You just choose not to. Like, even when people say to me like, well, I can't afford that, I like bells go off. I'm like so triggered, like not personally triggered, but like, I'm like, don't say that because you can't afford that. Let's be honest, like anything you've ever really, really wanted or had to make happen financially, like I bet you did what was required and you handled it and it came through. Like, I know for me, a couple years ago was a really rough year for me with money. Like, I did not know how I was paying my rent the next month. This was when I was newly moved into Milwaukee. I was like struggling. Like, I didn't know how I was paying for stuff the following month, but I'd always figure it out. And you know what? I also didn't cut back on the things that were really important to me. I cut back in certain areas, but like what we want, we always make happen. And I've seen that show up in so many areas. Like, it's easy to talk about with money, but in any area, like when you really want it, you can. You just might choose not to. So stop saying, I can't afford that, or I can't do that, or I can't have that, or I can't make time for that. I can't find time in my day for self-care. I can't find time to meditate, or I just can't meditate. I'm not good at it, or I can't do this part of the workout. Like, I can't hold a plank that long. Like, all these can'ts. Like, stop saying that and instead give yourself a little bit more empowered, a more empowered stance where you just say, I choose not to. Like, it's not at the point where it's a big enough deal to me to make it a priority, because if you really want something, you can have it. And like I said, the change is not going to be easy. If it's a big change and you're reprogramming old ways and getting rid of limiting beliefs, like I said, it's going to feel icky sometimes. It's going to feel really hard, and it's going to require a lot of you. But take it one day at a time. Like, that doesn't mean you need to like throw yourself into something super uncomfortable like tomorrow or today. Like, but just decide for yourself the things that you think you want. How bad do you want them? And if it really, really matters to you, just know that it is available to you. And then just start taking the steps and working your way toward it. And my last note on that is working your way toward it. Understand that the process too isn't always going to be linear. Like, I used to think this with fitness. Like, I'm going to do my first fitness competition and then I'm going to be in sick shape and then it's going to stay like that forever. You think you're going to go up, 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 up. Guess what? It doesn't happen like that. It's more like crazy roller coaster, and that's all change work. But, you know, again, eventually you just keep at it. And then with celebrating those wins, taking it back to that, tying it all back together, when you're celebrating the wins, all of a sudden, some days you go, oh my God, thank you. Like, so grateful. I am so different. This feels so different. And that was me this past week. I'm like, damn, like that feels so much better. And like, yes, you can't like force when it's going to happen, but it will happen if you keep plugging away at it and you know you deserve it and it's important to you. And then you'll look back and go, oh my goodness, like this is so much better. Thank you. And thank you to yourself. Say that for sticking with it, for staying in it, for staying with that discomfort, and for deciding that you were worth it to make those changes. Because what's the alternative? Staying complacent, staying stuck, feeling crummy, repeating these same stories. Like, just decide you're fed up with that same old nonsense and you're better. You know you are. You're perfect where you're at, but we know we can do better. And when you decide that for yourself, like I said, it's so available. Like, all the change that you need and all the tools and the resources, like, it is available. You just have to make that decision. So I hope this reaches some of you today that really need it. And I'm always here if you guys have questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you soon. I hope you have a fabulous day.